Michael John Cleote Crawford. Mike Rutherford is an English musician. He is a founding member of Genesis and one of the band's only two constant members. He used his full name Michael Rutherford in credits on all the group's albums with Peter Gabriel. Initially serving as Genesis bass guitarist and backing vocalist, Rutherford also performed most of the band's rhythm guitar parts, frequently on 12-string guitar, in collaboration with successive Genesis lead guitarists Anthony Phillips and Steve Hackett. Following Hackett's departure from Genesis in 1977, Rutherford assumed the additional role of lead guitarist on the band's studio albums. Rutherford was one of the main Genesis songwriters throughout their career and wrote the lyrics for some of the band's biggest international hits, such as Follow You Follow Me, Turn It On Again, Land of Confusion, and Throwing It All Away. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Genesis in 2010. In addition to his work with Genesis, Rutherford released two solo albums in the early 1980s. In 1985, he formed the highly successful spin-off band Mike plus the Mechanics, which became a chart-topping act and significant live draw in its own right, as well as earning Rutherford an Ivor Novello Award for their 1988 single The Living Years. Early life, Rutherford received his first guitar at the age of 8, and played in his first band, the Chesters, at the age of 9. His father, Crawford Rutherford, was a Royal Navy captain who became a manager in industry upon his retirement from the service. Mike boarded at the Lees Preparatory School in Hoylake and moved at the age of 13 to Charterhouse School, where he joined the Anon and formed a songwriting partnership with fellow guitarist Anthony Phillips. At age 15, the two of them founded Genesis with Tony Banks and Peter Gabriel. Rutherford hated his time in public school, however, and was later expelled from Charterhouse for what he describes as a number of instances of minor misconduct. Playing style: Rutherford's playing style has been shaped by his unorthodox performance requirements within Genesis, which from a fairly early date required frequent shifts between instrument. Though his work with bass and guitar has been praised by some critics, he has described his playing as average and said that he considers himself a songwriter first and foremost. Rutherford's bass guitar playing initially involved the use of a pick and a high treble setting. He would also sometimes employ a relatively harsh, horn-like distortion setting to differentiate the instrument's tone from the rest of the ensemble. In the mid-1970s he would begin to play fretless bass guitar on Genesis songs and would experiment with 8-string bass guitar. Rutherford's rhythm guitar playing was initially characterized by his use of electric and acoustic 12-string guitars. A distinctive sound of early Genesis recordings was Rutherford's double acoustic 12-string playing intertwined with that of Anthony Phillips or, later, Steve Hackett. As a rhythm guitar player and writer, Rutherford has favored melodic, minimalist chords or progressions of single notes, as in Genesis songs Follow You Follow Me, Turn It On Again, and Invisible Touch, or the Mike plus the Mechanics song The Living Years. Rutherford assumed lead guitar duties for Genesis in 1977. Previously he had made occasional lead guitar contributions to Genesis music if they were best played by him, but following the departure of guitarist Steve Hackett and the band's decision not to replace him with a new member, Rutherford took over all guitarist roles for the band in the recording studio. As a lead player he has favored long, melodic tones, bending the notes into plaintive, almost vocal lines. This results in singable solos or the creation of sonic atmospheres rather than showy displays of technical prowess. Post-Hackett, he has also diversified his rhythm guitar approach beyond his initial 12-string-based approach. From an early date, Rutherford also played bass pedals both live and in the studio, often playing simultaneous 12-string guitar and bass pedal parts in order to cover rhythm and bass parts at the same time. Initially using a Deutron Mr. Bassman bass pedal synthesizer, he had moved on to Moog Taurus bass pedals by the 1976 Trick of the Tail tour. Frequently Rutherford's bass guitar, 12-string guitar, and bass pedal playing have featured in different sections of a single Genesis song, Supper's Ready, Firth of Fifth, and The Cinema Show being good examples of this. Sometimes Rutherford's bass pedals are used to set up a steady drone as the basis for an individual song. In concerts during the first half of the 1970s, Rutherford often played a double-necked instrument, custom built from a separate Rickenbacker hollow body 12-string and 4001 bass. Rickenbacker later issued double-neck bass guitar combinations with 4080/6 and 4080/12 models. However, Rutherford assigned the guitar neck to the top position rather than the 4080 stock guitar on bottom. He later had a custom Shergold double neck made, with the body modified so that each neck could be detached and played as a standard single neck instrument. On post-1977 Genesis live shows, Rutherford would alternate parts with touring band member Daryl Stuermer. Stuermer would typically play all of Hackett's original guitar parts, but play bass guitar on most songs from the post-Hackett era. Rutherford has also contributed other instrumental work to Genesis, performing occasional cello parts on their early 1970s records and playing the drum kit on live performances of the song, Who Done It? In 1981. Solo work and Mike and the Mechanics. During breaks in Genesis, Rutherford recorded 2 solo albums, Small Crepes Day and Acting Very Strange. However, he was dissatisfied with his solo work and in 1984 he resolved to never record a solo album again, since he felt his creativity was at its peak when working in collaboration. Because of this, he formed the band Mike plus the Mechanics during a break from Genesis in 1985. Mike plus the Mechanics' biggest hits are All I Need Is a Miracle, Word of Mouth, The Living Years, Silent Running, and Over My Shoulder. To help promote the song, Rutherford and the record label perpetuated the impression that The Living Years was inspired by Rutherford's relationship with his father, who died during Genesis's Invisible Touch tour. In a 2004 interview, Rutherford confessed that the lyrics were in fact written by B.A. Robertson, and based entirely on Robertson's relationship with his father. Rutherford also collaborated with other artists, including associates Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins, on the Against All Odds soundtrack, offering the song Making a Big Mistake. Rutherford played at the Strat Pack concert in 2004 along with Brian May, David Gilmour and Joe Walsh. Rutherford performed in the closing ceremony of the 2012 Summer Olympics on August 12, 2012 as a guest member of Ed Sheeran's band along with Pink Floyd drummer Nick Mason, playing the Pink Floyd song Wish You Were Here. Instruments. Rutherford played mainly Rickenbacker and Shergold basses. He said of the early Rickenbackers he played that they were all borrowed from a friend. We'd borrow one, break it, then borrow another. Up until a couple of years ago, I didn't own one myself. He developed the idea behind the M-Series Steinberger guitar with the help of English luthier Roger Giffin, and he used this extensively in the 80s and during the Invisible Touch tour with Genesis. He had a double neck status built for the Mama tour which featured a 6-string guitar and 4-string bass placed in a custom body. In the earlier years of Genesis he used to play Moog Taurus bass pedal synthesizer. Through the early 70s live tours, Rutherford often used a custom-built Rickenbacker double neck that combined a 12-string semi-hollow body guitar with a 4-string bass. For The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and the first part of the Trick of the Tail tours, he incorporated a Rickenbacker 12-string solid body guitar and a 6-string micro-fret signature baritone, equipped with 6-string short-scale bass strings. Later he switched to another 12-string solid body/6-string bass combination built from scratch. All these double-neck guitars were made by luthier Dick Knight. A custom Shergold double neck was made that had modules for 4, 6 and 12 strings guitars. The retunings required for early Genesis songs led to the development of Peter Gabriel's stories and introductions. Today with Genesis Rutherford continues to use double-neck instruments, when the arrangements demand quick switches between bass and 12-string instruments. His current double-neck model is a Gibson 12-string guitar with a Yamaha TRB-4P bass, while he prefers Eric Clapton's signature model Fender Stratocasters when playing guitar on later pieces. Personal life. Rutherford currently lives in Surrey, England, with wife Angie. The couple were married on November 13, 1976 and have 3 children, Kate, Tom, and Harry. The family enjoys equestrian sports such as polo and dressage, in addition to raising horses. In 2009, Philip Beresford, compiler of the Sunday Times Rich List, estimated Rutherford's fortune at £30 a million from past touring activity, future touring income and the Genesis back catalogue. plus other smaller company assets and accumulated earnings, making him one of the 50 wealthiest residents of Surrey. Discography: Genesis. Mike plus the Mechanics. Solo albums, solo singles, references. External links: article about Mike Rutherford's Shergold double-neck guitar, worldofgenesis.com. Mike Rutherford biography, worldofgenesis.com. 2004 Mike Rutherford interview, Genesis of a Mechanic. Mike Rutherford joins the band Du Lac charity concert June 11, 2005.